Wonderful. So for tonight's workshop, we're looking at forgiveness and the power of forgiveness and letting go. And I'm going to go quickly through the first part of this so as we can get onto the more practical sides of things. We've all had times when we've either been slighted or more than slighted. And after that, you have the initial moment, you have the time of that which offends us, that which upsets us, you know, directed from somebody else or because of the actions of somebody else. With that moment, we tend to feel hurt to a lesser or sometimes greater extent, on extremes of cases. And it always amazes me when you see on the news somebody who, you know, they've had a family member who's been murdered or killed, and they're able to stand there and just go, I'm not blaming this person, I forgive them. That forgiveness, when we give it to people, is one of the most powerful and beautiful gifts we can give. Behind that forgiveness is the ability to accept that the situation is what it is. If we don't accept the situation is what it is, we don't let go, we don't forgive, we hold on to it. Once the initial event has passed, the only person, and this sometimes can be a bit of a difficult thing to get our heads around, the only person keeping that pain alive, that hurt alive, is ourselves. For instance, and obviously I'd never do this, if I was to slap someone in the face, the initial moment, that stings, that hurts. There's the emotional shock of that, there's the emotional pain of that as well. But within our minds, that moment of pain and emotional response is actually quite a short period of time. After that, our minds are replaying and reliving the situation, and in doing so, recreating the thoughts and the feelings connected to it. For some people, when we have those moments, we'll replay it for a bit, we'll go over it in our heads, but eventually it gets less and less and less and less. And for other people, it stays strong, and that's when we kind of get into the territory of bearing a grudge. And quite often when I've worked with people who are kind of like, I've got this anger towards someone, I can't forgive them, I've got this. One of the things I will always say, and sometimes it's quite provocative, but it does the trick, is that person hurt you a year ago. Why are you still hurting you now? Because it is only our thoughts, it is only our replaying and revisiting the memory and keeping it alive that keeps that pain alive, that anger alive, that whatever that is that we're directing that person. That person, you might not have seen them since. So they're not keeping it alive. We, us, you and I, keep that pain alive. Which is why to accept a situation, go, do you know what, that is what it is, instantly helps liberate and allows us to forgive. Forgiveness and acceptance, kind of similar parts of the same thing. If I don't forgive, I can carry, and I've, you know, we probably all know people who've been hurt and slighted who carry that so long after the event. It can make people bitter. It's like having a thorn in your foot that you could pull out, but you're choosing to keep poking it back in. And another danger there is then that with time, whatever that is that's caused the initial hurt, the initial incident, gets buried. It kind of gets forgotten. But there's still the resentment, there's still that unforgivingness, that anger, that hatred, or whatever it is towards a person. But if that's forgotten, the original cause of that gets lost, which it can in time. The danger is that anybody that then reminds us of that person triggers that response in us. Our mind goes, that person reminds me of something in the past. I'm going to bring up all this resentment, all this anger, all this pain again. It's our minds doing it. We're not consciously doing it. I don't think our conscious minds would do it. I don't think we would consciously go, right, I'm going to make myself feel terrible and angry and hurt and everything 10 years after an event. Our conscious minds kind of go, oh, I don't like the way that feels. I'm very aware of that. And let's get rid of it as soon as possible. But our unconscious mind is more animalistic. It's holding on to that. And it's important to be able to let go of that. It's important to not let that resentment, that anger, that hatred, whatever builds up from it, to even build up. Because the other thing and the other side of it is when we're carrying a grudge, when we're carrying resentment, anger, whatever towards a certain individual or group of individuals, if it's internalized too much, it can come out in more physical ways. I, in fact, actually spoke to somebody this evening who is an ex-client of mine, and they came to me with terrible, terrible eczema, really, really bad. I've only ever seen it twice this bad. The first one was quite early on when I started helping people, and this was the second time. I've not seen it that bad since. And I kind of always think of eczema as just being like little red patches on the elbows that itch, but when it's to the point that you can't sit down and you can't walk on your feet because they're covered and it hurts, it's a different kettle of fish. And in working with this person, we uncovered that they were carrying a lot of resentment and a lot of anger towards somebody in their past. Interestingly enough, we also noticed that the soreness and the pain, as we were talking about it, was increasing, which to me suggested there might be a connection. So we did some work on letting go, accepting that what was is exactly that. It was, it's past. It's not happening now other than in your own mind. And worked at letting go and forgiving. And having spoken to that person this evening, they told me that they are still, to this day, and that was, could be 7 or 8 years ago now. 7 or 8 years ago that they came to see me. And since seeing me, the eczema cleared up quite quickly within a month. And it's not played them up since. And the only difference was that resentment, that grudge that they'd been keeping alive. Because let's face it, if you don't see the person that's created that situation with you in the first place, if you don't see them, it's not them keeping it alive. Can't be. Going back to the slap analogy, if every time I see you I slap you in the face, then you can argue that I'm keeping that alive. But if I did it once 10 years ago and you haven't seen me since, it's not me causing the pain. But then there is that thing also that our unconscious minds, there's a part of our mind doesn't know the difference between what we're remembering, what we're seeing and thinking, and our reality. Doesn't make a differentiation between what's out there and what's going on in here, which is why horror movies work. We all know when we watch a horror movie that it's not real. It's a movie. It's on a screen. It's not happening. And they're actors. We all know this, but we still jump at those moments. And that's because a more animalistic part of our brain is going, whoa, this is real, because it doesn't know the difference. So every time you revisit a time of pain, a hurt, a time when somebody has wronged you or slighted you, and you keep that alive and you keep revisiting it, there's a part of you that doesn't know the difference between the actual event and you're remembering the event. And so we perpetuate and we keep it alive. But it is us that is keeping that pain alive. Forgiveness and acceptance, in my book, are really the two biggest gifts we can give anyone. And forgiveness doesn't just work outwards. Forgiving ourselves for things that we perceive maybe we've not done, could have done, should have done, didn't do. Because it can quite often be easier to forgive somebody else than it is to forgive ourselves. If ever you've done something, you've spent ages just beating yourself up for it, maybe even something you still do, beat yourself up for, then you're keeping that alive and you're replaying it, and you're not forgiving yourself. We all tread this journey, we all do amazingly well at times, and at other times it's a learning curve. We don't do so good. But we are just human. There is no manual. So forgiveness, both outwardly and inwardly, is a powerful way of liberating ourselves, for freeing ourselves of emotional pain and also sometimes the physical effects of bearing that anger. Because whatever anger does for us, I've never yet met anyone who says that feeling angry feels good, or that feeling resentment feels good. And so, by working with forgiveness, by learning to let go, we can let go of that which does not feel good. And the first part of that is realizing that after the moment, it's only ourselves that keep that pain alive. Once we know that, then we can choose to really make a difference by letting it go. So, how do we start with this? One of the things we can do, if we're aware that we're carrying a grudge, or that we might be carrying a grudge, how can we tell? Well, sometimes you might find you react in a kind of standoffish, aggressive, sometimes manner towards somebody who maybe you've never met before for no apparent reason. And you notice that you've not been your normal warm self with somebody, but you're not quite sure why. A real great practice that you can use to start to uncover and work with forgiveness and letting go is the act of journaling. Writing it down, getting it out of here. And a good way of doing this is just thinking back through your life to any moments or points in time where you've been hurt, where you've got grievances, and write them down. Write them down. For some people, it might be quite a big list. For some people, it might be smaller. But don't just write down the stuff that people out there have done. write down those moments when where you feel aggrieved with yourself, where you've done something that was detrimental to you, that maybe you gave yourself a hard time for, and create a list. Other people, self. And then, with a cup of tea, or a coffee, or whatever you want, just work through them one at a time. Look at them. See if you feel that there is still something there to let go of, something to forgive. And if you identify that there is, ask yourself the question, what is the potential for forgiving? What is that I can do that will allow me to let go? Just write 1 or 2 words. Sometimes you might, and then you don't even have to answer them there straight away. If you ask yourself a question like that, what is it that I need to do to let go of this towards such and such? And just let that idea, revisit it. Don't rush these, just revisit it once a day. Just have a look. What is it that I can do that will allow me to let go of this now? And then get about your everyday. And sometimes, without even realizing it, you will end up doing that thing that will help you let go. Other times, it might be that it comes to you like an idea, like a light bulb moment, and you go, that's what I've got to do. And so, creating that list, working through that list, each little bit. Don't try and tackle the whole thing at a time. Don't try and conquer that mountain. If you've got like reams of pages and pages of people that you need to forgive, which I actually don't think anybody listening to this would have, but if you were to, then just one person at a time is enough to start easing that. And also, every time that you work at forgiving and letting go, you're teaching yourself how to do it even more. Because once you identify how it is you do the thing, as human beings, we're very good at repeating that. And quite often, the process of forgiving and letting go for this person here will be the same as this person here. And there's a good chance that it will be the same for yourself, focusing in. So that's the first thing that I'm going to suggest. We're not going to do journaling today because that's a process that you take your time with. But that's the first way of approaching this, is just create that list. Look at the areas where you need to forgive. Look at the areas where you need to let go, both with other people and with yourself. Now, let's do some meditation. And I'm going to do just a general relaxation meditation, actually, to start off with, something to just help us let go, to help us feel good. And then I'm going to take you through a couple of different exercises that you can use yourself. Once you've done them, once you've got the gist of it, you can use them yourself to help you forgive and let go. One of them I found the first time I was introduced to it many years ago now by a funny chap from Cheshire, actually. He used to come to some things I organised. He was great. He was very business minded, but then he had this fascination of all things spiritual, and he was doing Huna, which is Hawaiian shamanism, if I remember, and it was a method that he taught me from that. And when we do this kind of work, there usually is an emotional release at that point of forgiveness, and our worlds become bigger for it. Our worlds become richer for it. So let's get into some meditation and some relaxation. Have a fidget, get comfortable. take a nice deep breath in. And obviously, don't forget to breathe out. It helps. And we'll begin now by taking 3 deep breaths together. I don't want you to close your eyes on the first one. I don't want you to close your eyes on the second one. But on the third breath, as you breathe out, just in the time you want to take to close your eyes and relax, and just let them close. I'll guide you from there. Breathing in, hold it, and breathe out. Breathing in, hold it, and breathe out. Breathing in, hold it, and breathe out. And just return to your natural breath. Gentle rise and fall, your own natural rhythm. Tell yourself, I'm going to relax. I'm going to meditate. Outside noises will not distract me. Everyday thoughts will not disturb me. It all just helps as I continue now to relax. Just pay attention to your breath. Make sure you're breathing nice, full breath. So you're breathing in through your nose, down into your stomach expanding. And as you're breathing back out, your stomach contracting. And I'm going to share for this part a blend of the meditations from the last workshop. So as you take a few more breaths, I want you to become aware of a point within you that is a couple of 3 centimeters back from your navel, from your belly button, heading towards the spine. And I want you to start to imagine building up a ball of energy there. A wonderful ball of energy. Maybe you see it, maybe you feel it. Get a sense of it, a real wonderful, beautiful feeling there. It starts off small like a marble. And as you become aware of that, when you start expanding it, I don't know how big it's going to get that's right for you today. Expand it, maybe it becomes the size of a tennis ball, cricket ball, maybe a bit bigger, maybe the size of a melon. But they're just building that ball of energy. Maybe it has a colour, might even have a sound. Just with each breath now, that ball of energy expanding and contracting, but each time getting that little bit bigger until it's just the right size for you now. And I want you now to start moving, allowing that ball of energy to move from its starting position where it is now, moving back towards the spine, to the base of the spine. And then moving up the spine, through the lower back, the upper back, base of the neck, up the neck, around the back of the head, across the crown, and starting down through the face, down through the throat, through the chest, the stomach, and then back to that start position, a couple of 3 centimeters back from the navel, and then send it on its way again, gently spinning that energy within you, moving that energy within you. And as that energy is moving, it fills your body, back up the spine, over the head, down through the face, the throat, the chest, back to the start position in the stomach, and around again. And as you're aware of that, as you're breathing and thinking of that ball of energy moving around within you, you can connect your body's ability to allow all the meridians, the energy centers of the body, to flow clearly and easily. Just keep that moving for a little while longer as you relax deeper, allowing the energy and the natural energy of the body to flow more easy. Moving up and round and back down. Just moving that a couple more times. That's right. And wherever it is now, allow it to continue and just bring it back to rest at that start position. And from that start position, I want you to become aware of any place within your body that is still. So essentially you're looking for a general stillness in the body. I mean, the whole body obviously is naturally in a state of flux and movement. So you're kind of looking for the stillness within the movement. Like still flowing water. And as you become aware of that stillness in the body, you can begin to enter a state of letting go. As it is through stillness and through letting go that we discover deeper levels of stillness. Becoming still with the flow of time, energy and space all happening without your interference, but with your complete acceptance and love. As you become more aware of that stillness, go into that stillness, returning to the source. Returning to the source, which is nothingness, voidness, and emptiness that yet contains the whole universe. Returning to that source, to that energy, allows us to let go, to accept, to forgive. And it points us on the path towards wisdom and enlightenment. This is because our minds are mostly void and clear. It's simply manifestations, just simply manifestations we see, feel, and interact with, and these come from the same emptiness as everything else. And as you begin to understand this, you'll not be troubled by thoughts or feelings, as you know they are just simply manifestations. But you can return to the source, to that stillness. That beautiful, peaceful emptiness. Nothing can contaminate your mind. Take a while longer. I wonder how much more that you can go into that, which is nothing, yet everything, now and every place that's this time, like that, and so much more, yet less, because you can enter that stillness. And in that stillness, you can let go of everything. That's right. And so I just want you to quietly to yourself thank the universe, thank God, however you choose to. And allow your heart to be filled with gratitude while you rest for a moment. And then I want you to just gently return into your body, move your body a bit, wiggle your toes, be back here, be back now. And then we'll go on into the final exercise of today. So for this final exercise, I ask you to just close your eyes, if they're not closed already. And this exercise, this inner work, is a way of letting go and forgiving. So I want you in your mind's eye now to just picture yourself sat in a theatre. It's just you in there. You've got the stage in front of you. Curtains are drawn. Lights are low. Don't know what that theatre looks like to you, but be there now. See what you see, hear what you hear. You're alone in the theatre. Just get a sense of that now. and sat there in that theatre looking down at the stage, the curtains start to part. And there may be someone who comes to mind now, who maybe you need to forgive and let go of. Whoever that person is. Or maybe it's a group of people. As a spotlight goes up on the stage, you watch. As that person steps out into the light. And you notice, running from your forehead to theirs, a single thread of blue luminescent light that connects you both. Connects you both, and you notice that string of light connecting you both. And you say to that person on the stage, I am sorry if ever I have not lived up to your expectation of how you thought I should be. Notice that person's reaction on the stage. And say to them, it is time. Can we let go and forgive? Wait for their response. If they said yes, that's great. If not, we'll ask again. Can we now let go and forgive? Again, await the response. If it is yes, that's great. And if not, we'll ask a third and final time. Can we now let go and forgive? And await the response. By the third time, usually we get a yes. However, if not, then I ask that person on the stage to listen to these words. Now is the time that you can let go and forgive and feel good for making this choice today. Person on the stage can now agree, and you notice down beside you big pair of scissors, almost like those ones you use for cutting a hedge. Can't think of their proper name. And you pick them up, and looking at that cord that used to connect you with the person on the stage, you snip that cord now. And as that cord severs, you watch that energy, that thread of energy just reduce until there is nothing connecting you with that person on the stage. You take a deep breath in, and as you breathe out, that person fades into the shadows of the stage. And take a moment. Notice how it feels to let go and forgive, trying to find whatever that was that you used to hold on to. And you can, if ever you feel that connection come back again, repeat this exercise to disconnect that energy and that part of you. And as you're there, you become aware of another form stepping out of the shadows into the spotlight. And you notice yourself, or an aspect of yourself. Maybe that you've resented, maybe that you've held a grudge against. It's more than possible to hold a grudge against yourself. Maybe it's a younger you that did something that looking back you regret, or whatever that you on the stage represents, that aspect of yourself where you can forgive and let go to bring about powerful healing for yourself. And you notice again that blue thread, that luminescent blue light connecting you to that other you on the stage. You say to that other you, I apologize for any time I have not lived up to my own expectation of who I thought I could be or should be. Notice the response. Sometimes that words alone are enough for that cord to just dissolve. And now you ask that other you, can we let go and forgive? Notice the response. If it's yes, wonderful. If not, ask the question again. Can we let go and forgive? Again, notice the response. And if needs be, ask a third and final time. Can we now let go and forgive? If the response has been yes, then that's wonderful. If not, I speak to that other you on the stage. Now is the time to let go, to forgive, to heal and feel good. You take up those big scissors again and reaching up, you can cut now that thread that joins you to that other you. And notice that luminescent thread dissolving and disappearing between you, breaking that connection, allowing you now to let go and forgive. And you watch as that you fades into the darkness, into the shadows. And now you bring that you and the first person of this exercise back out onto the stage. And I want you to focus on the idea of love, unconditional accepting love, and send that love out. Send it out as colored spotlights onto the stage, bathing the stage with that light and that love. You smile at those on the stage, and they smile back. You wave, and you say thank you. For all you have taught me, for all I have gained. The spotlights go out. The curtain descends. And that image of the theatre around you starts to dissolve, to fade away. As you become more aware of yourself back here in this time, in this space, where are the tips of the toes, your heel, your foot, your legs, maybe start giving your legs a bit of a shake, feeling yourself coming back into your body, ready to feel good, feeling lighter, feeling fresher. Through the lower back and stomach, up through the upper shoulders, the back, the chest, down the arms, feel everything coming back to normal everyday awareness. Through the neck, through the head, have a fidget, have a stretch. And when you're ready to open your eyes, feel good, having let go and forgiven of certain aspects of life. Then and only then, when you're ready to feel good, open your eyes, be here, be now. So that whole process from journaling, you get your journal, you write down, you identify those people or those aspects of yourself that you need to let go of and forgive. Once you've got that, you work with just one at a time. You don't want to overload yourself, one at a time, because this can be, sometimes it feels easy, other times it can really release stuff. And that's good. That's a wholesome and healthy thing, to let it go, because if you're releasing it, you're not holding on to it anymore. So once you've identified, you can then take that person or that aspect of yourself through the second exercise. Use a meditation to relax you into it. Use something to guide you into that state, and then take yourself through that process with the theatre, with the stage. And even if it's just one, it might be that the first time you do that, it doesn't feel completely like you've broke that connection, like you've let go. That's okay. Don't worry about it. It just means there's a bit more work to do on it. So you can repeat that process, or ask yourself again, what else is it that I need to do to help me let go of this? And the more you work upon this, the more you work at letting go and forgiving, accepting that what has been, but it's not now. It's not now. Now it's not happening. By letting go and realizing it's only ever been ourselves that keep that alive, you can move forward, allowing more forgiveness in your life. And there comes a point where it can become automatic. That whole process of letting go and forgiving, the more we do it, it's like any exercise, the better we get at it. The more we find we can do it in other aspects of our lives. So that is tonight's forgiveness workshop. I hope you've enjoyed it.